look, your podcast, which you are doing in Edinburgh tomorrow, for people who are in this room, the people at home, it will not be much useful, but you can listen to the podcast. It's called A Bisexual and a Boyfriend.
Correct.
I'm assuming, and this is always wrong to assume with the wrong generation, that you're not the boyfriend.
I'm not the boyfriend for now.
No, okay.
I don't actually know what that means. But it felt fun to say. Yeah, that's a podcast I do with my boyfriend. We were like, oh, this is like a really good idea, like, because it's sort of like two different cultures, bisexual and boyfriend, and they've never met before, you know. So like, what if we can talk about the differences, and within one day we'd run out of stuff to say. So now it's mostly us. Like the last episode is me talking about cherry tomatoes.
That's good.
Yeah, which aren't inherently queer, but you get the idea. There's something to them. Yeah, it's quite hard doing a podcast.
It is.
I thought it would be fun, but it's actually like, oh, you do have to think of stuff to say.
Of course. Well, yeah, this is a case in point where you just stuff comes out and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It's good to have some plan.
I might tell the anecdote.
Yeah, tell that on stage. Let's try and get as many podcasts as we can until it just becomes established as fact.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Again, we're going to have to bleep that. We're making a very difficult job for Chris Evans, not that one. I'm happy with our choice. So yeah, it's this is the first live one you've done, right?
Yeah, first live one I've ever done, and I'm quite scared because we do like edit out quite a lot similarly at home. Yeah. Like it's hard work for our producer Ross, because I like to tell stories of people who I like, people I know in real life, and leave in their full names, which we're not meant to do legally. So yeah, we're gonna do it live, and I also think like there's something so when it's like, you know, you can't say something, as proved today with some stuff, like it's just very, very hard not to say it. But I'm looking forward to it. I don't know who will come because we don't really have that many listeners,
right? So
it might actually not be a live podcast. It might just be a normal episode recorded in Monkey Barrel.
Podcast in a cave somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Also, it's at 5 to midnight.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you for making that noise. My show is at 11 a.m. every day. That's so dangerous.
Yeah.
I've been going to bed at 10 p.m. It feels like the gravity of this isn't really like resonating with you, but I'm worried.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. It is really inspiring, but you know, in the early days, I mean, the first time I did what became RHLSTP was I did it in Edinburgh first, and it was RHF. No fans in, you know, I think those, and before that was me and Andrew Collins, and it literally was the Wild West. And I think we would have put a couple of times we actually cut some stuff out because we thought there was a thing we did about. I forgot his name.
Is this going to be cut out?
Well, maybe not now. I think it was the guy who used to run Hull Truck, who then went on to be sort of a right wing sort of pundit. And we did a bit that we over a kitchen table we found so funny about from his autobiography about when his dad or his mum died. they gave him some information. I can't remember what it was, but that was the only bit we cut out because the next day I just thought, oh, this is a bit much because you know it's about a very personal moment in his life, but we were absolutely pissing ourselves over whatever this piece of advice had been. It was in a book, but otherwise we just said whatever we wanted to do. We hardly ever cut anything out, and we were, you know, I think it was the sort of glory days of online. Luckily, there's so much of it. I don't think anyone can go back and find the bits that will get me cancelled. But
that's a challenge.
It is a challenge. If you can put out enough stuff, it just becomes too irritating for the people who want to find those bits. But yeah, you know, I was podcasting in the noughties, so you know, anything went in the noughties.
How did you find out about podcasting?
Andrew Collins said he'd been on something like the Q podcast or some of the Q magazine podcast, and he said, you know, it's really easy. We had because it felt like something was, you know, how would you do that? And we didn't know how to get it online. We didn't know how to record it. And he said, they use GarageBand on the Apple Mac, and we had an Apple Mac, so we used GarageBand. That's why our podcast was 1 hour 6 minutes long, because that's when GarageBand stopped. So that's if you just press play on GarageBand, it would go for 66 minutes and then stop.
That's it. Wow.
So they were all 66 minutes long, and then we found Orange Mark from the British Comedy Guide, who still puts up some of my stuff, and he agreed to sort of put it up on the British Comedy Guide for us, and we were sort of off. And it was just, we just thought it would be, we'd done a radio show together, and we just thought, oh, maybe if we did this, you know, maybe the radio would put us back on. But actually, because we were amongst the first people to do it, it'd just be, you would be top of the iTunes charts as soon as you put a new podcast up in those days, because there were 3 podcasts.
Yeah, now there's so many.
I know.
I don't even think I should have one.
No, I don't think you should. No, I don't. Look, the problem with podcasts, I think, at the moment is now, and there's nothing you can do about it, but people who are already famous and well established and quite well off have realised that they'll make more money doing a podcast than by being on TV, or at least off menu, which I know you've been on, and I think you and I might have done the worst 2 off menu, the most controversial off menu choices.
Not bad.
But anyway, someone like those guys are obviously doing incredibly well and making lots of money, and and if they own the format, they're making a lot of money. But so many famous people have come in that it means that you're going to go. Richard Osman's podcast, which is actually and Marina Hyde's one. It's one of my favourite podcasts. But you kind of think those guys are eating up a lot of the ad budget there for everyone else, because and advertisers will go to them, but also punters will go to them. So I think it's good for lower profile people to start podcasts. But again, it felt like punk rock in 2007.
Podcasting was punk.
It was. It felt like you can literally just make your own podcast, and you could do anything you wanted, and everything was so policed because of all the ironic because of the Russell Brand. It's not the worst thing he's done, but it's one of the bad things he did of ringing up Andrew Sachs and telling him he'd fucked his granddaughter.
Oh yeah,
pretty bad. So the BBC got very stringent about putting anything, even and again, this is happening again now. Really, when even if you're on a radio show, they said don't say anything even in the warm up because there might be a journalist in and we'll get into trouble. So you suddenly were able to go and do whatever you wanted online, and realised with that freedom you quickly went, there's no point. We're allowed to do what we want, so it would settle down quite quickly. But you could do anything you wanted. It was kind of amazing, and but there was no money, and that wasn't the reason anyone would have been doing a podcast then. But now, I think it'll fall away when they realise they're not going to make millions of pounds. These
who the other like me?
No, the big celebrities. And they've got proper work to do, haven't they? You'll have proper work to do. You're very successful. I've got nothing else to do, so I can do 5 podcasts a week.
We're not making any money from our podcast. It's a passion.
Yeah,
project.
Well, that's good. That's what it should be.
But I'm not that passionate about it.
And it
is just similar something to do. It's good to catch up with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
From time to time.
I quite like doing ones with occasionally I'll do a podcast with my wife and I think, this is nice, we've had a chat for an hour.
Yeah.
It's about 3 years since
it's also nice because we've been going out for 3 years, so we're not really that funny around each other.
Yeah.
But then you put the mics on and I'm like, God, he's hilarious. Let's see some of that in the kitchen. He's not going to listen to this.
And is it? I mean, presumably there was an element to begin with the title that is it about what it's like for him going out with someone who's bisexual?
Yes,
presumably he's not bisexual. But
he's not. The premise was we'll both pick a topic. We'll each bring a topic that is something that we feel is in more from one camp, and you kind of just have to vibe it. So for example, the first episode unaired, I spoke about astrology.
Right.
And he took your position.
Right.
And that's why it's unaired.
Yeah.
Because it was quite negative. And what was his? I can't remember. But then sometimes he talked about eunuchs for one of them. It's gone quite off the rails. Now it's sort of can you think of a word? That's enough. But yeah, I don't, because actually the bisexual thing is not that big a part of our life, because we're going out with each other. The way it impacts him is I dress like this, I wear a tie. And that's, I would say, the extent of it. For the listeners at home,
that's not exclusively bisexual though, is it? If a woman wears a tie,
is it okay, exclusive? Right. And also when a man does it as well. When a man does it, he's a bisexual diva.
And is there any? I guess not in the bisexual community, because it's okay. So Jojo Siwa, who's gone from being from being a lesbian into having a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Is there any? And people are
people are angry.
Angry about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone's got to be allowed to choose what they want to do or discover that they have other aspects to their personality. So,
yeah, that's fine. I feel like the issue with her was that she's sort of she's dating an adult man. And
she's younger than him, isn't she?
She's young. I didn't really follow. That was one thing on the internet where I had to just say, I can't lose my life to this, to engaging with this, which I so rarely say.
Okay.
But yeah, I think
my audience are confused by this.
Do you know about Jojo Siwa?
They don't know who she is. Oh, they do. Okay.
Congratulations. Keep living your lives because they sound good. Yeah, I didn't really follow it. There's so much. I wouldn't even say like, yeah, you probably shouldn't care that much about someone else's sexuality.
Isn't that? I mean, wouldn't it be good if the world suddenly stopped caring about
everything.
Anything that isn't their business, and you just go, you're allowed to do, as long as you're not impacting on illegally on anyone, you're allowed to do anything you want, and it's none of my business.
Yeah. I think that's good. But then also, there's nothing to do on social media if you're not. Where would all my views come from if I'm not going for straight men? The one thing that I do think though is that I do think the reason that we thought it was quite a good idea is because I notice in my audience that there's like a lot of girls with like curly hair and ties with their like neurodiverse boyfriend.
Yes.
And that's our set. So I was like, that's a demographic.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll have had similar experiences to us. But then we ran out of experiences. Now it's about cherry tomatoes. Like, yeah, 1 season worth of stuff basically.
I think it's really interesting. There's podcasts with married couples, aren't there? And there's a few of those. I think it's really, because my kids have both been doing stuff this Edinburgh, you kind of think, is there a podcast where a family sit down and talk to each other?
That's a crazy idea.
I know that there is. I'd quite like to. I might not ever put it out, but I might try and do our podcast with either the whole family or with the kids, because they're very funny to me. So at least it'd be nice to have that. But it's finding that new angle on stuff, and then, I think that's it's like a different and interesting, and there'll be other in the whole world of a billion podcasts. There'll be another one, I guess, where the relationship's a similar thing, but I haven't seen that before, so that's and then it's just podcast. And then it's just, but then with yours it's just that it's two people who like each other, and most of the time. But there's a friction. That's why the last one I did with my wife, I think we'd had quite a big argument the day before.
That's tough, isn't
and we
it?
hadn't really addressed it. But then actually the podcast was great because we would, we sort of realised we liked each other again. And I didn't need to say sorry or anything. It was good. Obviously it was my fault.
You can use the podcast to work through arguments.
Yeah,
that's what we've sort of like, because what's missing in, like, if you're in a relationship, you'll probably realise that, like, when you have an argument with your partner, you're missing a third party who can be the judge. And so when you're in a podcast, you can sort of put it to the jury. And I think everyone's relationships are missing that, is a jury who can vote. And actually what is quite scary is that they're often on his side.
Right.
So something's wrong with them. But it's there's, like you say, there's a lot of podcasts with married couples, which I think feels quite stable and secure. But we've only been going out for 3 years. That makes it quite exciting, because it's like, we could break up.
If you break up, will you carry on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be better.
We'll go for gold. That's when we'll get the sponsorship deals.
And her ex-boyfriend. Come on, that's going to be good.
Yeah, that could be good. No, that is quite sad to think about.
It is quite sad.